Autumn Acorn Knits podcast. My name is Judy. This is episode 7, and we're doing it a little different this time, as you can see. This is a knitting podcast and other crafty endeavors. I also talk about toxin-free living, living in the forest, in a log cabin, and what that entails, and just everyday things about life. But mainly it's a knitting podcast. But today I'm not doing a lot of talking about knitting. If you will recall the last podcast, episode 6, I have a giveaway going on. So you can win, actually, this package of goodies here. It's a Crazy Zebra Ball skein of yarn. Very pretty color, donated by Hand-Dyed Sock Yarn and Etsy. Also in the giveaway is a bar of goat's milk soap, lavender, scented by Clark Farm, New Hampshire, also on Etsy. And then the Steady Hand, April from the Steady Hand donated quite a few things, but there are 3 items in this particular giveaway. One is this cute little ducky needle cozy for your circular or double pointed needles. She also donated this sweet little Notions pouch, little zipper pouch with red hearts on it, and this super cool Progress Keeper stitch marker holder. So on the inside are these places where you could attach all of your stitch markers and progress keepers, so it's a really handy place to have them. So anyway, this giveaway will be yours. All I asked for to enter the contest was to ask me a question. It could be a personal question, a question about knitting, a question about toxin-free life, essential oils, anything really. Anything goes. So this episode I thought I would answer some of the questions that have come in. I'm still going to continue the contest probably for, I'm going to say another week, no more than another week. So feel free to enter. You can ask a question on the YouTube channel, which is the Autumn Acorn Knits podcast. You can ask a question on Instagram on JudyJewel_ is my handle, my name. Or you could ask to join. I have 2 Facebook groups. I have one for knitting called the Autumn Acorn Knits on Facebook. You can ask to join that and then put a question there to enter the contest. Or I have another Facebook group called Love Nature if you're more interested or also interested in toxin-free living and making your house chemical-free. You can join that group, and you can also ask a question there. Any of those questions will count toward the giveaway. So anyway, let's start with some questions that you guys have asked. Wilma DeBoer asked on YouTube, did Joe build your log cabin? So the last episode had a tour of our home. We live here in New Hampshire, amongst the White Mountain National Forest in a very remote but beautiful area of New Hampshire. And about 3 years ago, we moved into this log home where I'm filming from right now. He did not build it. We bought it already built. There were 2 owners before us, and they had this home as a vacation home. The second owner lived in it year-round, but the first owner, it was a vacation home. They did add on to it, but yeah, so no, Joe did not build it. The next question is from Carlene. She was asking about the privacy. She noticed we had 2 lofts. We don't have a door to our bedroom, our master bedroom. We just have some wool drapes. So she was wondering, what are some of the challenges? Does that get kind of tight, cramped, no privacy when you have guests? So yes and no. No, it does not get cramped because we have plenty of room for just the 2 of us and Meryl, the kitty here. Hi, sweetie. But when we do have guests, sure, it could get tight, and you do lose some of your privacy. So, for example, when my daughter comes to visit, she typically stays up in the guest loft. And so we just close our drapes, and yeah, but it's a little harder because in the morning when I might get up earlier to make coffee, her and her husband might hear that because there are no way to close off the loft. But the last time they came to visit, which was just this past weekend, they stayed out in the guest cabin where I typically film this podcast. So that's really handy, so that when anyone needs privacy, they can just stay out there. So that works out really well. So honestly, I can't think of any challenges at all. This house would be a lot harder to live in if you've had, children. You'd have a tougher time. So thank you for that question, Carlene. The next question is from Janet Von Holt. She was asking about some essential oils for sinus issues, congestion, things like that. And there are lots of really good oils for that. The best, I would say, would be eucalyptus. Young Living has a blend called RC. And it has 3 different types of eucalyptus in it. It also has myrtle, pine, spruce, lavender, cypress, peppermint, and marjoram. So that one is awesome for clearing you right out. I just put a couple of drops here, but you could also diffuse. Diffusing is the best way to get oils into your system, just inhaling them. It's awesome. So, and tea tree is also really good for sinus problems. So thank you for that question. Number 4 was Lori Parsons. She asked basically about getting toxins out of her home or her life or her body. There are so many different ways to do that, but the starting point is start with those things you put on your skin. For example, deodorant, start there. Lotions, shampoos, conditioners, laundry soap, dryer sheets, the things you clean with. Those are all going to be the ones with the most harmful chemicals in them. If you could start by getting rid of everything with perfume, fragrance. If it says fragrance on the label, that could mean 200 different chemicals. The FDA says you only have to label fragrance. In fact, you don't even have to label fragrance. You can leave that out. But Febreze, for example, is a very toxic household product that a lot of people use. Really bad for the reproductive system, carcinogens, allergens in it. And they only have 3 ingredients on their label, but one of them is fragrance, and that fragrance in Febreze contains literally 200 different chemicals that I could probably never even pronounce. So start there. That's a really great place to start, Lori, if you want to start to get rid of some toxins. Surly808 asked, will I visit my daughter in Hawaii? Some of you know that my youngest daughter, Sarah, who's 21, lives in Hawaii. She lives in Maui. She started by going to college there, and now she's staying there with her dad. And I have visited actually twice. I was lucky enough to visit her when she turned 18, and then again just this past spring. It is so beautiful, and yeah, I'm really glad she lives there because it's a great excuse to go back. So amazing there. Next question was from Debbie Pennington. She was asking about the rug. I'm not sure if you could see it, but here it is. It's a wool hand braided rug she asked if I made it. She saw it in the video tour of the house, but I did not make it. I wish I did. It's gorgeous. It actually came with the house, so it's a pretty awesome gift. Next question it was a question from Singing Wolf Dye Works on YouTube. She's also on Instagram, and she asked me if Joe would share about his trip to Nepal. He's actually there right now again. He was called back, I think, just a short time after he returned from the last trip in October. It is now November 2017, and he just left yesterday. So he'll be there for 2 weeks building houses for the earthquake victims in Yarsa, Nepal from the earthquake in 2015. Young Living has a great foundation, and to make a long story short, he did do an interview with another team that I can get the link to you. Also, he did a Facebook Live, and I'm waiting now for that video to come to me so that I can share it with you, so you can hear all about his trip to Nepal. Next question was Brandy Stokert. Brandy was wondering if I would be sharing more about essential oils in the future. Although this is not an essential oil or wellness podcast, yes, I do plan to devote an entire one episode to essential oils and what they can do to help your life, to help you feel better. So yes, to your question, Brandy. Hope of Freshwater Pearls asked me what my favorite book is. My favorite book is a book I read a long time ago called Soul Stories. I'm not going to be able to think of the author's name right offhand, but it's a really deep, spiritual kind of book that really makes you question everything, so I highly recommend it. Carolyn Zhu asked me, what is my favorite fiber to knit with? Hands down, no question about it, it's wool. Merino wool in particular, any soft, non-itchy wool, absolutely. And if not wool, I love cotton, natural fibers. No acrylics, thank you very much. Laura Lenke asked if I celebrate Christmas, what's my favorite tradition? I'd have to say the stocking. I realized later when I was older that not everybody does the stocking thing, but we always had a stocking that we left at the foot of our bed, and then when we wake up in the morning, it would magically be filled with lifesavers and gadgets and little toys. And there was just something so special about that. Sharing that time with my brother and sister, and we would just get so excited and open our stockings. So thanks for asking, Laura. Kimberly asked about the poof. So Meryl is sleeping on one poof. I have another one that's upstairs in my craft loft that you saw in the last episode. I forgot the name. Oh, I just remembered. It's called It's All in a Nutshell. That's the name, I believe, of the blog. So if you just Google It's All in a Nutshell poof, you'll find the pattern. I modified it a little bit. Like, for example, this one is a lot smaller. This one really doesn't follow the directions at all. The one upstairs follows it a lot more closely, but I still made it my own. And I just stuffed it with polyfill stuffing. Next question is by Jean Cohen Mazafera. Where did you live before you lived in the cabin? So I lived for 47 years in the state of Connecticut. We always had a vacation home, a home in Vermont, where we would visit, once a month, and then a few weeks in the summer. So I was born in Vermont, but always lived in Connecticut until 2012, I think it was. I moved to Vermont, and then 3 years ago to New Hampshire to this log cabin. Knitter86 on Instagram asked me also about my favorite Christmas tradition or memory, so I'm still going to stick with the stocking. And I think that's it. There were more questions that I'll answer at a later time, but I think that's enough for now. I wanted to keep this podcast kind of short and sweet, hopefully. I'm getting ready to head out to the post office. I have some packages to ship out. I'm going to head to the grocery store and pick up some cold cuts. And then it's just Meryl and I for the rest of the day. And we're just kind of taking it easy, getting a lot of things done, but it's really cold out. So we're trying to keep the fire going while Joe's away, and just try not to miss him too much. But anyway, yeah, so thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.